you know. This is a shot from the side, you know, but this is another shot from the front. So it's the same thing, same place, but being composed differently. This is how photography can be, you know. Whether you are using tripod, this is definitely possible only because the tripod has been used. Because you notice the wave coming in, all the slow movement of the wave coming in and residing, you know. Without a long exposure, you can't get something like that, you know. And with a long exposure, all your wave become a little bit silky, foamy, you know, whereas something that didn't move the block itself is totally still clear and sharp. You know, we did this in the morning, me and another instructor, Anthony, we went early in the morning about 4 something to this place, a beach coast near Punai Kaki. And we said, you know, just do a sunrise shoot. In the end, we didn't get a good sunrise, but we shot a little bit of abstract stuff like those that you see earlier on, you know. And then the next day, a lot of them just went on their own. They said, oh, I want to shoot something. You see, with and without tripod, very different. Same thing, this is just a rock, a very simple rock, but it's very effective if you understand how water works for you. Water will come in and water will recede. When water resides, it hits the rock, it creates a certain pattern, you know, and at different shutter speed, this is like probably at a quarter of a second or 1/8 of a second, this part creates a very nice flow. And this part is stronger, it just lurks and juts out like that. You know, so when I shot this, one of the photographers was very excited. He said, oh, I'm going to do this the next morning. Later on, he will share a bit on the video what he did. Okay, and then the same place, everybody is shooting everywhere, you know. I don't know what they are shooting. I'm trying to shoot this tree. I don't know whether she's shooting me. Another guy was shooting somewhere else. But end up, this is the tree that was shot. It's just a dead log. You know, I was using off-camera flash, using an SD2 and another flash here to flash in on the dead log, to flash in on certain details in just a simple dead tree. You know, we play around with wide angle lenses. This is using like a 14mm fish, not wide angle lens. You know, go really close, tease the horse. Yeah. Do you want a kiss? Yeah. Okay. And these are some of the participants. You know, every night when we go on this photo trips, it's really not an easy feat. You know, a lot of y'all will say, oh, I want to go on a trip, but be prepared. Be prepared to have long hours of editing, long hours of sharing. I asked them, do y'all want to take a break? All of them say, no, I want to carry on. So every night we will do a review. Let's say you finish dinner at about 8 plus or 9. We go back to our common area, we start to plug in our computer, we start to load all the images, and you edit, you choose some of shot 5 or 10 of the best shot, and we do a critique session every night via a projector. End our session, about 12 o'clock. And next morning, what time do we wake up? 4:30. So be prepared, this is going to be something that a travel photographer will have to do every day. Why? Why do you need to do that? Because if you don't look at your shot the day that you shoot it, right, you will lose steam the next day. You know, you will never be able to remember what is happening. You will be shooting tons of good pictures or bad pictures the next day and next day and next day. If you miss one day, it's going to pile up on you. So for us, we believe in clearing our work every day. So this participant was really, really active. All of them was very serious. You know, sometimes I ask them, oh, time's up. Everybody, stop. Then they all, oh, no, cannot, give me 5 more minutes, give me 5 more minutes. You know, so it's no joke. Whether you want to lie on the floor to get a really limited depth of field, you know, you can feel that you're on the same eye level as the bird. If you had been on a higher level, you probably see a lot more of the sea, the lake itself, you know, a little bit more of the grass. But because, you see, when you're on a higher level shooting down like that, you see all these things a little bit more. Or when you're on a low level, your depth of field is so limited. The subject just point in on the pigeon itself. The seagull, the pigeon, you know? And it's so funny. They just try to do everything that I do. This is me in front. So they just, okay, let's line up and try to shoot something. You know, this one shoot her backside, that one shoot the backside. So it's very humorous. But in the end, what were we shooting? We're just shooting somebody having fun. You know? And we believe in having fun as well. I was teaching the dog how to compose a picture. See? The dog was looking at himself after being shot, whether he approved the shot. Okay, that is a little bit more about what we have went through. I'm going to just show a couple of staff video. Model script, though the model is not really a real model, she's a good staff from Thailand. You know, we actually arranged a few flashes using STE2 and we're trying to explain to the participant how to use your remote flash to get a good shot. So everybody had a little bit more insight into flashing. Some people say, no, I must use natural light to get a good portraiture. But that's not true. You can actually use flashes if you know how to use it well. But don't shoot the flash direct. This is the same piece of rock that we shot in the morning. You know, notice how the water just comes in like that, along the flow. So you can imagine if you, what type of shutter speed you're setting, you'll get a different kind of feel to it. You know, and as the water subsides, what type of texture there will be in the foreground, you know, or it comes in totally on you. So you have to decide whether you want to focus on the background or you want to focus on the foreground. Okay? But when I showed them the final shot, it was nothing similar to this. But one funny photographer from Philippines, his name is Chi, he said, I'm going to try and emulate what Triston does. And do you know what happened? He put the same tripod there, but when the wave came, he left the tripod with his newly won 50D at the same place. And what happened? Did you know how big his tripod was? His tripod was only this tall. It was one of those really small, puny one. It was having a 50D with a 10-22 lens. So he abandoned his tripod because he said, I don't want to get wet. And the whole 50D just fell into the water. And that's the end of his prize from Philippines. Famous now in Philippines. This is a short interview. What is it before? Before was like what? Like this. Yeah, excited. And after? After? Oh. You have made history, man. Yeah. I think you're the man. Come on. You're the man, man. You're the man. So that's Chi, famous in Philippines again in the background. By this time he lost his 50D, but he has a spare 40D, so it's okay. He continued to shoot. I noticed that we use a lot of tripod, even though you may see why there's no water, there's no movement, there's nothing happening. Why do you need to use a tripod? Can anybody tell me why you need to use a tripod, even on a bright sunny day? Why? Anybody know why you need to say? Maybe it's cold, so your hand will shake. It's possible? Anyone can think of any other reason why you want to use a tripod on a bright sunny day? Perfection. Yes, maybe. Come again? Composition. Yes. A lot of times, I find that when you use a tripod, you get a lot more out of a framing. Because everything is still, you are able to see and frame. But when you hold a camera, sometimes, heavy, or you're just a little bit undecisive. But when you have a tripod, it's very still. So when the camera is very still, you look, and then you're able to decide what you want to do. But that's not the only main reason. The main reason for using a tripod on a sunny day is because you want to shoot different exposure of a subject. Because many times you find that the sky is very bright, but yet the sky has detail in terms of the clouds detail. Certain part is dark, certain part is bright. But the foreground, the landscape itself, is dimmer than the sky. Why is it dimmer? Because the foreground could be grass, green, whereas the sky is a cloud, white, and blue, and grey. So the blue and grey, no problem. But the white, a lot of times, is compromised. So how can you bring back the detail? A lot of people say, I shoot one shot and then I go and produce HDR in Photoshop. That's one way. but often I find that that's pretty fake. So what you should do if you want to do HDR, when you want to layer many different exposure, you should use a tripod. Because that way you can never change the position. That way everything is fixed. So you can shoot a subject at -2 exposure to get the details in the clouds. You can shoot one at perfect normal exposure to get everything that's in the foreground. And you can shoot a +2 to get everything that's in the shadow area. So in that way you can choose which one to include when you do a HDR. Or even if you are diligent enough, don't do HDR. Use Photoshop, use masking to mask out whichever you want. Have a totally creative control over your subject. So that's one of the ways why you need to use tripod. So a lot of them, after learning that, they really carry the tripod